Good morning. Today is Monday, March 8th, 2021. As more people are vaccinated against COVID and more data is collected on its safety and efficacy, a number of questions are starting to arise. To what extent may non-vaccinated people be refused entry, service, employment, travel, and other legal activities? Now, this is a very important legal subject. It's being discussed here in Quebec, throughout Canada, in other countries. I'd like to share with you a very brief halachic introductory to discussing these questions. Before I do so, let me start with three introductory points. Number one, according to Jewish law, clearly there needs to be a medical exemption to those people who, for whatever reason, are not able to receive a vaccine. It appears that this number is very, very small. Simply claiming an exemption certainly will not be sufficient, but whatever the law is, it must take into account those people who, for significant medical reasons, are not able to take the vaccine. At the same time, even a person that has a legitimate reason not to take the vaccine for a medical reason, still we must assess the risk that that person poses to others, even though their reason for not taking the test may be a legitimate one. That's number one. Number two, from the point of Jewish law, there is no such thing as a religious exemption from being vaccinated. The number of medical and halachic authorities that support the requirement, according to Jewish law, to be vaccinated, that number is overwhelming, and it comes from the mainstream, the entire spectrum of Orthodox Judaism, and there is no halachic right for a person to claim a religious reason not to take the vaccine. It does not exist in Jewish law. Even if a person were to make the argument that they themselves cannot be compelled to take the vaccine, which I disagree with, but even if a person would make that argument, it is absolutely clear that such a person does not have the right to be in any circumstance where they endanger others or put others at risk. Those Jews who are anti-vaxxers, who spread conspiracy theories, they are violating Jewish law. They are causing others to act in a way that is unsafe. Thereby, they are enabling unsafe behavior. They are putting themselves and others at risk, and they are engaging in behavior that is a Chilul Hashem, a desecration of God's name. Anti-vaxxer claims, conspiracy theories, without any basis in science, have no place within Jewish world and are against the standards of Jewish law. Number three, last introductory point. Even after vaccination, precautions must still be in place. The vaccine takes a while to take effect. The second vaccine, that also takes a while to effect. It's not 100%, and therefore precautions must still be in order. It's not like take your shot and the whole thing is over, don't have to worry about anything. There will still be layers and aspects of precautions that will be necessary after the first shot, after the second shot. Certainly in the short term and the midterm, there will be other precautions that remain necessary and required. But to come to the subject at hand, these are weighty questions. Denying fundamental rights to individuals of freedom and liberty and personal choice is something that no legal system takes lightly. It is possible that insisting on these kinds of limitations could affect certain groups disproportionately, either because those groups traditionally have lower levels of vaccination, or for other socio-economic or demographic reasons. And we must be very careful to watch the impact and consequences of any such rules and try to maintain as fair a society as possible. However, soon, more and more of these questions will come up. So allow me to start with a few of them and to answer them based on my understanding of Jewish law. And again, I'm expressing not only my own personal opinion, but what I believe to be is a wide consensus of halakhic authorities together with medical authorities that represents the overwhelming consensus of halakhic opinion today. Can an employer require an employee to be vaccinated in order to maintain their status as a worker? Yes. Simple. Yes. That is what halacha says. Unless the non-vaccinated worker can take precautions that remove any additional work. For example, take a different position, work in a different location. Under those circumstances, then, of course, a person should be entitled to keep their job. But in the question between possible risk to workers or customers versus a person's personal autonomy to choose not to take the vaccine, Jewish law clearly comes down on the side of protecting others, and a person would have the right to remove an employee who refused to receive a vaccine if no other accommodation could be met. May a store refuse entry to an unvaccinated person? Jewish law says yes. Stores have the right, even if they are private stores, the right to protect customers and to protect workers, and those protections come first before a person's personal right to choose. May a school or a shul refuse admission, either employment or admission, to its services to someone who is not vaccinated? And the answer is yes. Very clearly, detailed analysis, again, across the spectrum of orthodoxy. Does the government have the right to restrict travel and other activities in order to protect others? The answer is yes. The law of din malchutadina, the law of the land of the law, supports the government passing laws and imposing laws that protect its citizens from harm. Everything that I've shared with you so far is clear-cut. It is consensus of a wide range of halakhic authorities from every segment of the Orthodox world. Jewish law does not arrive at these answers lightly. Infringing on personal liberty is very dangerous, and we Jews have often been the ones to suffer. But Jewish law does not assert fundamental role of personal autonomy. Rather, Jewish law sees every individual as subject to observing the mitzvos of the Torah. In this example, the mitzvah v'nishmartem ma'od lenafshosechem, to be exceedingly careful concerning protecting health. And certainly, when one person poses a risk to others, the protection of others comes first. That is the din of the rodef. A rodef, a pursuer, one who is pursuing another to harm them, that person loses their rights and must have the danger prevented, even if it means infringing on the rights of the pursuer in order to protect the potential victim. Now, this is really important. That applies even when there is no malicious intent, even when there is no intent at all, and the pursuer sees themselves as safe and posing no harm. The motive of the one posing the risk has no bearing on the case. If it is the judgment of the overwhelming consensus of legitimate, accepted halakhic authorities making use of legitimate, accepted medical expertise, then the protection of those at risk takes priority, and any limits necessary become halakhically acceptable. I am sure there will be many more issues that I have not yet even begun to consider. But this is an introduction to how Jewish law views these questions. It is very serious to take away rights of the individual and to not allow them to make up their own choice for themselves. We take that very seriously in Jewish law. But protecting others from risk has a higher priority. My friends, I wish you all a great day. Please get vaccinated when it is your legitimate turn. Stay safe until then and even afterwards. And I look forward to seeing all of you soon in person.